Hello, this is Emilee Mooney Scott. Thank you for watching the Release Report, a video series that highlights key features of Connecticut's new Release-Based Cleanup Regulations, or RBCRs, slated to go into effect on March 1st, 2026. This is Episode 2. Today we will discuss what it means to discover a pre-existing release. Additional details are available in a companion post on the Robinson & Cole Environmental Law Plus blog. Discovery is a very important concept under the RBCRs, since that is the event that sets the whole process in motion. This is different from the Transfer Act, which requires site-wide investigation, and that leads to the identification of releases. However, under the RBCRs, there is no obligation to investigate, and no obligation to take action on a release until it is discovered. Discovery of a release to the land and waters of the state, quote, occurs when a person who created or is maintaining an existing release has knowledge of such release. That is subject to some exemptions that we will discuss. The word created has its ordinary meaning. For practical purposes, a person who is maintaining a release is the property owner and tenants under certain circumstances as discussed in the blog. There are 3 ways that a creator or maintainer can discover a release. First, laboratory analysis of environmental media such as soil and groundwater can indicate concentrations of contaminants above laboratory reporting limits. Note that the concentrations do not need to exceed remediation standards or any reportable concentration, as is the case with the Massachusetts program. Any detection at all constitutes the discovery of a release. Second, there can be the observed presence of non-aqueous phase liquid, or NAPL, which is a liquid that does not mix with water. For example, oil visible on the surface of groundwater in an excavation. Third, multiple lines of evidence discovered in the course of an investigation can indicate the presence of a release. This method of discovery is complex and deep. The Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection might provide additional guidance before the program is implemented. In the meantime, the regulations provide that such lines of evidence can include past aerial photos, odors, distressed vegetation, and other factors. This means that discovery of release can occur through visual observations in a Phase 1 context, not just through laboratory sampling. In a future episode, we will discuss due diligence considerations under the new regulations. In addition to the above methods for a creator or maintainer to discover a release directly, they may also learn about the release indirectly. For example, if someone is investigating the source of contamination on their property and identifies a likely source on a different property, they can provide information on the release to the owner of the suspected source property. Or, a buyer doing due diligence can discover the contamination and tell the seller. In either case, a maintainer now has knowledge of the release, and the release has been discovered. Especially serious contamination called significant existing releases may be discovered by anyone, not just the creator or maintainer. This includes conditions like contaminated drinking water wells. There are some exemptions under which discovery of contamination is not necessarily the discovery of release. For example, identification of constituents from pesticides applied consistent with their label is not a discovered release. Finally, stakeholders should be aware that by statute, a release has not been discovered if, quote, the only evidence of such release is data available or generated before March 1st, 2026. This means that there is no obligation to search the filing cabinet and report laboratory analysis from the past. That said, the meaning of the phrase only evidence has not been clarified, and there may be situations where a release is discovered based on old data and facts that continue to be true. For example, if a waste storage area is still present. Once a release has been discovered, the next step is to evaluate whether and when the release is reportable. Reporting of existing releases will be discussed in our next episode. Thank you for joining us.